I have a dream. These words are known to each of you. Today I can say, I have a need. I need to protect our sky. I need your decision, your help, which means exactly the same you feel when you hear the words, I have a dream.
That was Ukrainian President Zelensky addressing Congress on Wednesday of this past week. His emotional plea received a standing ovation from lawmakers, but did it fall on deaf ears at the White House as President Biden prepares to travel to Europe this week to meet our NATO allies for an emergency NATO meeting? Joining me right now is Senator Marsha Blackburn. She sits on the Senate Judiciary and Armed Services Committee. Senator, thanks very much for being here. Are we giving all that we could to Ukraine to help support this war? And what do you want to see President Biden do at this upcoming emergency meeting, this NATO meeting on Thursday?
My hope is that President Biden will realize that if the U.S. does not stand up and defend freedom and freedom fighters, that nobody else on the face of the earth is going to be there to take that lead. And it's important that he does that. I think it's also important that he talk about the war crimes that are being carried out against the Ukrainian people, children, elderly, men and women that are just being murdered in those streets, and that he will push to get what Ukraine needs to protect itself and have our NATO partners challenge them. I thought Zelensky's speech was very effective. He did lay out his needs and equated that to having a dream. He did build empathy for the Ukrainian people and the team around him, tying back to 9/11 in Pearl Harbor as times that we have faced such aggression. And then he challenged President Biden to be the leader of the free world and the leader of peace. And President Biden should pick up that challenge and go to NATO and say, it is imperative that we push back against Russia, push back against these war crimes, the artillery they're using. You've just reported the hypersonics. And to make certain that the Ukrainian army has what it needs to protect itself. We know Xi Jinping is watching this very closely, Maria, and we need to be standing with Taiwan. We ought to be selling to Taiwan right now, just like I had recommended to the White House last fall. Sanctions, keep the sanctions on Nord Stream, and sell Ukraine what they need to protect themselves.
Yeah. Well, I want to ask you about that, because I know that there was a bill to delist Russian stocks from the major exchanges in the United States, and that was killed because of the lobbyists and apparently the Treasury who have pulled that down. We are no longer seeing this effort to take Russian stocks out of indices. And the same with Chinese companies, by the way. They don't even follow our accounting rules in the United States, and they're still listed on the New York Stock Exchange and NASDAQ. And yet we have this capital markets lever to pull so that unwitting investors would not continue buying these stocks and thus helping to fund the expansion of these adversaries. Why not? I know you have a bill on SWIFT and that you think will go to the floor.
Yes. Yes, we do have a bill on removing Russia in total from the SWIFT system. And we've done this because the emphasis has to be on cutting off their ability to sell oil and gas on the global market. So you have to remove them from SWIFT. Likewise, the capital markets bill, that should be applied to Russia, and it also should be applied to China. And if we could ever find out what President Biden had to say with Xi Jinping, we could see if he laid out, if you stay cozied up to Russia, we are going to enact these capital market restraints. We have plenty of companies that are intertwined with Russia, with China, with the Chinese Communist Party. And Maria, every bit of oil, every drop of oil that gets bought from Russia is funding Putin's war against Ukraine. And then you look at all of this. Right now, we hear Russian troops are in a holding pattern. They're trying to get in resupplies of people, but they don't have them in their army. They're going to be doing soldiers for hire and mercenaries coming in from Syria, Iran, Chechnya, Laos. And this is how he's planning to carry out urban warfare. This is unseemly. And the whole time, we have an open southern border. We have people from 160 different countries that were apprehended, known terrorists, apprehended at the southern border. You have to secure our country, and you have to be firm when you meet with NATO.
Senator, before you go, I've got to ask you, you headlined the New Hampshire GOP Business Roundtable in Manchester Friday. You are going, of course, to Ohio and Iowa, the Faith and Freedom Coalition's 22nd annual spring kickoff. Are you planning to be on the ticket in 2024? Are you hoping to be a vice president partner on a ticket with President Trump or somebody else?
Oh, Maria, I am focused on 2022 and helping my colleagues win these elections. We've got a lot of good races for the House and the Senate. We're very hopeful. And Governor Sununu is very hopeful that we're going to have a great primary in New Hampshire, great nominees, and pick up some seats there. And of course, I love representing the people of Tennessee, fighting back against what's happening with the Chinese Communist Party, fighting back against what Russia is doing, and preparing for these SCOTUS interviews this week.
And do you expect that you will be able to accept this nominee? What are you planning to ask Judge Brown Jackson?
I'm very troubled about her record, whether it was when she was in private practice, the Sentencing Commission, or on the bench. She would have let 1,500 prisoners go during COVID. Among the ones that she let go were a murderer, a bank robber. These are hardened criminals back on the streets. She also has been soft on child pornography. She doesn't seem to have a judicial philosophy. She will not be clear about where she is on court packing. And I have talked to a lot of women who were quite concerned about her record when it comes to how she's dealt with crime, how she's been soft on criminals, soft on child pornographers and child abusers.
Okay, we will be watching those hearings, Senator, and thanks very much for being here this morning. Thank you for your leadership. Senator Marsha Blackburn joining us.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.